Hi guys and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about a walk I did up Teide, which is a volcano in Tenerife, which had a couple of really interesting things happen to me whilst I was walking up there. So I'll let you know about those. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video. I'm going to talk about someone that's inspired me in the outdoor community world, which might be a little bit controversial. Not everybody agrees with that. So stick around to the end of the video for that. Also, make sure to click the subscribe button below if you're a fan of adventure, travel, stories related to that, general grumpy rants, reviews and all those things. But the reason that I picked this particular trip to Tenerife to climb Teide was actually because my mum said that she tried to climb this volcano herself when she was 19 on a guided trip, and she actually couldn't make it all the way up. She got altitude sickness and she sort of semi-fainted and had to be brought down. The volcano itself is just above 3,700 meters. She didn't tell me at what point she fainted, but when she told me that story, I kind of a little bit wanted to prove that I could do it even though she couldn't, and also kind of a little bit I was doing it for the family. That's what I'm going to pretend, but also I wanted to prove that I could do it. The first thing you must realise if you're watching this video because you've got plans to climb Teide is you need a permit to get to the top. So if you're going to go all the way up there, get within 100 meters of the top, and then there's a gate and there's somebody guarding the gate, you can't get through unless you've got a permit. So make sure to go online and get that permit. If you Google it, it's easy to find how to do that. When I started to climb this volcano, it was at a point that I hadn't had any training on snow or ice, and I didn't even have any winter boots. So I just sort of thought I would just attempt it in my summer boots, kind of see how far I got. People at the nearby hotel were actually telling me that I should probably have provisions for snow and ice, for example crampons and ice axe. At that point, like I say, I didn't have any of that, so I just thought I would try my best, and if too risky I would turn back essentially. Going on the path itself, as you can see from the pictures I'm showing, it wasn't too bad. There was some snow, it was very light, you could walk through it easily or you could even walk around it on the path. But that obviously depends on the time of year that you're going. I think I went in possibly in March, so around about that time was okay, but obviously, you know, if you go right in the middle of winter there will be some differences there. So one of the really interesting things that happened is quite early on in the walk, about 20 minutes on into the walk, or 20 or 30 minutes, I met someone that had a lot of experience, and they were telling me all about their mountains of experience. And they just had all this training and all these places that they'd gone, and very, very impressive. And then they asked me what experience I had, and I was like, I have pretty much no experience. I've been up and never, so that's my experience. And they were, you know, hugely impressed by that, as you can imagine. So we walked along for a few, like, I don't know, a quarter of an hour or something together, and then I could see that they were itching to head off on their own, and I was like, that's fine, you go on. And they went off on the path on their own, and I carried on my own, kind of ambling along at a steady pace. The next thing I know, I round the corner on this mostly still gravel and barely any snow pathway, and I see this. So in case you can't see exactly what it says, Jenny, stop. So he'd actually taken the time to go to the edge of the path where the snow was and write this message out for me, obviously because he thought that I couldn't go any further and that I needed to be turned back. As you might have seen from some of my previous videos, I don't always have the common sense to know when I shouldn't be attempting a certain path. You know, obviously the wish and the need to get to the top can sometimes overtake your common sense. But in this situation, there really was barely any snow, almost at the bottom of the volcano. So I was kind of like, Jenny, stop. Well, I'm going to go with no, I'm not going to stop. So I just carried on. A little bit later I met another person that was great fun, a German guy. We walked together for about an hour, I would say, and it was on a part where the ascent was beginning to become more steep. He actually took quite a few pictures of me. Even he took the picture that you see at the front of all my videos where I'm jumping down from a rock. That's taken on Teide. And you know, we sat down and had a couple of cups of teas and a bit of bread together as well. But I did start to notice that his walking pace was getting less and less, and he was beginning to flag and beginning to become a bit breathless, which, you know, he's a fit guy, fitter than me at that point, and I was surprised that he was flagging behind. I realised after a little while that he was probably suffering from some altitude sickness, and he needed to sit down more and more, like I say, and he just wasn't able to keep up the same pace. But I was feeling okay in terms of the altitude. I think we were maybe at like 2,000 meters or something like that at that point, when he decided that he was just going to sit for a bit longer, with the possibility that he may go down at that point, because he was starting to feel very nauseous, which can be a sign of increasing altitude sickness. People with very extreme altitude sickness, you know, just start to be sick and become very unwell. So I did let him sit there and decide to make his own choice whether to go up on his own or whether to go down, and carried on my own. There, you know, it's obviously it's the daytime. It's a busy volcano mountain where people are going up and down all the time. So I figured that it would probably be if he did need help, he would go down. He would feel better, and there would always be someone to walk with him or walk him down. So I went up on my own. I can't remember at what point in the mountain there is a small refuge, sort of about halfway up Teide. I went in there and it was almost completely dead. I mean, there was a vending machine and a locked kitchen, and obviously it's where people stay overnight, and in the daytime there's nobody there really. So I sort of went in briefly, filled up my water, and then just carried on up. So you won't believe what I found on the way up to the top of the summit, before I actually got to the point, maybe about 400 meters before the summit. The guy who told me to stop, he was coming back down, and without making it to the summit. So he had stopped because he felt he couldn't make it up, and I of course hadn't. So I think that's a win. I finally made it to the top.
I'm almost at the top, and the ground is hot, and you can see the sulfur fumes everywhere.
As you can see from the pictures, I had my sunglasses on to protect me. It was so bright up there, and I just couldn't. I tried to take them off for my summit picture, but I just couldn't take them off. It was just so bright. But I was really chuffed to have got all the way up there, and then I could hear other people coming up right towards the summit, saying that they felt very out of breath and that the altitude was really affecting them, and they think that that's the difference between having, you know, spent 5 or 6 hours walking up the volcano and just getting the chairlift up. It was great fun though, and it wasn't too difficult. It was a great kind of like starter climb, but I would recommend a lot of sunscreen or sun cream for going up there, because I was absolutely plastered. As promised, I'm gonna chat about somebody that I look up to a little bit in the outdoor community, who may be a little bit controversial, but I am a little bit of a Bear Grylls fangirl. I'm so sorry, but this is just all the things that I can get into one armful. I have a couple more books and the DVD series as well. Yes, I have a problem. Obviously Bear Grylls doesn't really need my publicity, and there are people who feel like he's great and he's amazing. He broke his back and he still climbed Everest, and all these kind of things. But then there are people who think that he sleeps in 5-star hotels and fakes a lot of his footage, and puts setups which are survival setups, which actually turn out to be next to motorways. There is actually some really interesting footage online of people demonstrating this sort of thing. But despite those factors, I still am a little bit of a Bear Grylls fangirl. So like I said at the start, if you're a fan of adventure travel or anything to do with that, Make sure to subscribe. Please hit like if you like the video, and definitely comment if there's anything that you would like me to talk on, or anything that you want me to rant on. I'm doing a few grumpy rants now. Also, if you've been to Teide, what you thought about it, or if you'd like to go, then obviously give me a message and I'll chat to you more about my experience from when I went. So again, thanks for watching and hope to see you soon. So make sure to click the subscribe button. Button is not what I meant there.